So here's where I want to start tonight on this podcast, talking about the Chiefs and their current state right now at 5-4. There are a lot of mixed feelings out there. I think there are some Chiefs fans who are kind of calm and relaxed right now. Certainly not thrilled with everything that's happened up to this point, but they still feel pretty good about the Kansas City Chiefs' chances moving forward. Then there's another side of it where a lot of people in Kansas City feel like this is a big concern and they're hitting the panic button already. I know Andy Reid was asked today about whether there's a sense of urgency considering the Chiefs are out of the playoff picture at the moment. And, listen, Andy always has interesting ways of answering some of these questions, but he basically wrapped up the answer by saying that given the parity in the league, not paraphrasing, but he said, given the parity in the league, there's always got to be a sense of urgency. And he's right. He's certainly right. Here's my thing. The Chiefs are at 5-4 right now. They're looking outside of the playoffs. And I get all these comments. People are saying, well, if the season ended today, the Chiefs would not make the playoffs. Well, good thing the season does not end on November the 10th. I don't know when was the last time that happened. Maybe back in the 1920s when, like in the early years of the NFL, way before the Super Bowl era, that's when seasons ended in November. But right now, it's November the 10th, and in 2025, the Chiefs, the NFL, I mean, their seasons don't end at this point, which I always think is funny because when the Chiefs were in the playoff picture a couple of weeks ago, nobody said anything about, oh, if the season ended today, the Chiefs are in. But when the Chiefs are out, that's when people like to talk about if the Chiefs, if the NFL, if the season ended today, the Chiefs would be out of the playoffs. Now, like I said, there's a narrative outside of Kansas City. People think the downfall is starting and the Chiefs are crumbling. This is finally the end of the dynasty. And I'll address that in a moment here. But really, this segment is more geared towards the Chiefs fans who are right now doubting the team. Like I said, I know there are some Chiefs fans who are calm and relaxed, but there are a lot of Chiefs fans who are also hitting the panic button right now. To quote Aaron Rodgers, RELAX. Relax. It's going to be okay. Let's chill out a little bit here. I understand. Listen, what happened in Buffalo could have been better. Was not acceptable for sure. The loss of Jacksonville, that one is looking worse and worse every week. Then I'll get into Buffalo in a moment here because narratives change so fast in the NFL, man. Like, if there's anything I want you guys to get, if you guys can get anything out of this from me today, just understand, like, the NFL, and I suppose college football, same thing. The sport of football, because it's you play once a week. When you win, it feels like you're on top of the world. And when you lose, you have to deal with that loss for 6 days, maybe 7, depending when your next game is. And it can feel like a long time. In Kansas City's case, they're dealing with it for 13 days by the time they play the Broncos because they're coming off a bye week. So here's my thing. Because I'm seeing a lot of people say this is the year where the Chiefs are finally going to miss the playoffs and that, this is their downfall. The dynasty's over. Oh, hold up. I've heard this narrative many, many times. 2021, the Chiefs started 3-4 and Mahomes was leading the league in interceptions thrown. The Chiefs not only surpassed the Raiders, who were leading the division at the time with, I think, a 5-2 record. The Chiefs ended up winning the division, and they made the AFC Championship game. Now, it didn't end well. Patrick Mahomes had one of the worst second halves of his career in that Bengals AFC Championship game. But they still made it in overtime away from another Super Bowl appearance. Then, 2 months later, the Chiefs traded Tyreek Hill. And in March of 2022, the Chiefs were written off. No one gave the Chiefs a chance before OTAs could even get off. Before the draft, the Chiefs were already done. It was over. Devontae Adams joined the AFC West. That was the domino effect in Tyreek Hill getting traded out of the AFC West. And I heard a lot of people talk about how the Chiefs were done. Raiders got Devontae Adams. Broncos got Russell Wilson that year. Chargers got some big players on defense. That's it. Chiefs were doomed. Not only did the Chiefs go 6-0 in their division, not only did they win their division, they won the Super Bowl that year. And the narrative in 2022 quickly changed from how the hell are the Chiefs going to survive without Tyreek Hill to, oh my God, how are the Chiefs doing what they're doing without Tyreek Hill? Patrick Mahomes won league MVP and Super Bowl MVP that year. Then in 2023, by the way, 2022 was a rebuilding year. That was the label a lot of people gave the Chiefs. During the 2023 season, you all know that story, the drops. That was a constant, ongoing issue that never went away for the Chiefs. And every single person outside of Kansas City swore, with the exception of a couple people, everyone swore that the Chiefs were going to be a one-and-done team. Oh, okay, well, Miami doesn't do well in the cold. They're definitely losing to Buffalo because Mahomes has never played a true road playoff game before, and Bills Mafia's in attendance, unlike the last time, the one other only time Mahomes won in Buffalo. Yeah, Mahomes is screwed. Buffalo didn't even have a play more than 18 yards in that game, and they want to blame Tyler Bass for missing that kick. Even though McCole Hardman, who, by the way, is now on the Bills practice squad, McCole Hardman gifted the Bills the biggest second chance he could have gifted by fumbling at the one with the ball going into the end zone for a touchback. The Chiefs should have gone up by 10 points in the fourth quarter of that game. Shoulda, woulda, coulda. Chiefs still won that game. Then on their way to Baltimore for the AFC Championship game. Oh, the Chiefs definitely. This is where the road comes to a halt. No. Oh, the 49ers, they're definitely, no. They won in overtime, walk-off style. Then in 2024, hey, listen, we all know how that ended. Got demolished in the Super Bowl, but still made it to their third straight Super Bowl. And during the season, we heard over and over again, the Chiefs' luck is going to run out. You can't keep relying on a toe out of bounds, a late interference call, a doink, a blocked field goal, a coin toss that went in their favor because at the time the overtime rules were a little different. I mean, all these different things we heard. The Chiefs still found a way to continue to move on and made it to the Super Bowl. Again, did not end well. Not at all the ideal ending. Still got further than a lot of people expected. So why is this year so different? Because I've just given you not one, not two, not three, 4 big examples as to why the Chiefs, their dynasty was supposed to end then, and it didn't. You know, it's another thing, and I've heard this narrative for several years, actually, that the Chiefs, you know, because they keep reaching either the AFC Championship game or the Super Bowl every year, they essentially have played an extra season longer than any other team because of the length of their postseasons, and that they're going to get to. Do you really think in November like Travis Kelce, he's tired because the Chiefs keep playing into February each of the last 3 years? No. Like, listen, once you get into March, April, May, like you're in off-season mode just like the rest of the NFL. Do you think in May Mahomes is sitting on the couch at home with his family, his body's aching because he played into February for the 3rd year in a row, unlike any other NFL player? No. Stop that narrative. That's silliness. Because, like I said, I've heard many times that the Chiefs, because of the length of their seasons, playing so late every year, it's going to finally come into play this time. Well, I've heard that a few times now. So I think that narrative is dead also. You know what's crazy? And I posted this morning. It got a lot of reactions. The Chiefs right now are the betting favorites to win the Super Bowl. They're 5-4 right now in the 8th position, so outside of the playoff picture for right now. And they're the betting favorites to win the Super Bowl. They're not even the betting favorites to win their own division. But DraftKings and any other sports book, all the odds makers, they're trusting Kansas City to win this whole thing. Listen, narratives change real fast. A couple of weeks ago when the Chiefs beat the Commanders on Monday Night Football, yeah, it was a close first half. It was literally tied at halftime. But in the second half, the Chiefs just pulled away and destroyed the Commanders. And a lot of people had the thought that the Chiefs looked like the scariest team in the NFL coming out of that game. And then 6 days later, the Chiefs lose to the Bills. What's the narrative that day? Well, the Bills look like the best team in the NFL. And then what happened 7 days later? On Sunday, yesterday, the Bills lost to the Dolphins. And now people don't even know what to think of the Bills anymore because they just lost to a team that's been struggling immensely this year. Tyreek Hill's out for the season. Their head coach has been called out. Their quarterback has shown some leadership issues. The Bills just lost to that team. The Colts, who certainly are the surprise of the NFL this season, and people are giving Daniel Jones his flowers, but when he had a bad game against the Steelers, everybody said, oh, here's the real Daniel Jones we all know and love, the same Daniel Jones from the Giants. But then they won, and no one's talking about the Colts and their downfall, which a lot of people have been waiting for. They've had that in their Twitter drafts for a while now. So, by the way, here's another great example. The Eagles, they had 2 consecutive losses this year, 2 losses in 5 days. They lost to the Broncos, where they collapsed in the fourth quarter, and then they lost to the Giants. They got destroyed by the Giants on Thursday Night Football. And listen, a lot of times what I like to do, and I think this is a good way to kind of get a pulse of a fan base, because I'm in Kansas City. Social media is a great way to get a pulse and understand how fans are feeling. Another way to kind of get a gist of what fans are thinking, local talk radio. I mean, all these post-game shows, they take callers. So I'll always turn on, local radio stations just to hear how fans are reacting, what the hosts of those shows are saying right after the game. Dude, Eagles fans wanted Sirianni gone. They wanted Jalen Hurts gone. They wanted the offensive coordinator gone. This is a team that just blew out the Chiefs in the Super Bowl less than a year ago, and their fan base was having a meltdown. But now the Eagles, they haven't lost since then. Are you hearing any of that? No. I remember when the Chiefs started 0-2 this year. A lot of conversations in Kansas City, whether or not from fans and the local media, is the game past Andy Reid? Should Andy Reid hand off play calling duties? Is Matt Nagy really an offensive coordinator? And listen, I know Matt Nagy, even when the Chiefs are winning, he's not the most popular guy in Kansas City. No one ever gives the offensive coordinator credit in Kansas City, whether it was Eric Bieniemy or Matt Nagy. But whenever the Chiefs are winning, no one's complaining about Matt Nagy. When the Chiefs won 4 of their 5 games prior to the Buffalo game, was anyone saying anything about Matt Nagy? No, nobody had a damn word to say about Nagy. My point here is, like I said at the beginning of this, football is a weird sport where you play once a week. When you win, you deal with that win for a whole week. Maybe a little less, maybe a little more, depending on when your next game is. But you sit with that win for a long time. And you have to absorb that win or loss for a week. And in Kansas City's case right now, because they're coming off a bye, they're going to have to absorb the loss for 2 whole weeks ahead of the Denver game. And because of that, the mood right now is somewhat negative in Kansas. I would say more negative than positive. Maybe I'm reading it wrong, but based on the social media comments I've been getting, it seems mostly negative. I even have Chiefs fans telling me, hey, I'm going to bookmark your tweet and let you know when the Chiefs miss the playoffs because you said the Chiefs are going to be okay. Chiefs fans are not handling that loss from Buffalo really, really well, to say the least. Look, all 3 years the Chiefs won the Super Bowl with this core group, with Mahomes, Kelsey, Jones, Andy Reid as the head coach, Spags as the defensive coordinator, it was never smooth sailing. Look at 2019, that loss to the Titans. There was a lot of doubt at that time, given how the Chiefs blew that lead to the Titans. Hey, listen, I had my doubts about the Chiefs at the time. The Chiefs didn't lose another game that season. They went on to win the Super Bowl, their first in 50 years. 2022, there was that rumor in the offseason about Bieniemy and Mahomes, and they had a little bit of a back and forth in that Colts game in week 3, if you remember. They lost to the Bills. They lost to the Bengals. The thought was, well, you can beat everyone else, but not Mahomes and, not Burrow and Allen that year. Well, they avenged that loss to the Bengals from 2021. Remember that whole week with Burrowhead and the mayor saying the things he said? The Chiefs avenged that game and won. And then 2023, obviously the drops. Like, I think out of all the seasons, 2023 was the worst season for the Chiefs as far as the on-the-field product. It was frustrating to watch. A lot of people will say last year, listen, injuries are never an excuse, and the Chiefs certainly made no excuses about it. But when they didn't have a lot of their key players and had bad offensive tackle play all year long, they were still finding ways to squeeze through and win games. Yeah, there were a lot of ugly wins, but they were finding ways to win. Listen, Detroit was missing a bunch of players last year. They were finding ways to win. I know it didn't translate in the playoffs, but they didn't make any excuses about Aiden Hutchinson or all the other defensive players that were missing. They were still finding ways to win. Now that the Chiefs have all their players, Hollywood Brown's healthy, Rashee Rice, his suspension is now a thing in the past. Offensive line is better this year. I know it didn't look great last game, but the offensive line is still playing better this year than last year. The Chiefs' offense is playing much better. Even Travis Kelce said on his podcast, and I know during all these Chiefs games on the broadcast, the announcers keep bringing it up as well. There's more energy from the Chiefs players in the practice facility this year than last year. Last year, they won 15 games. They really only had one true loss in the regular season. You can't really count that last loss against the Chiefs. I mean, record-wise, yeah, it counts against the Chiefs, but it's not really a loss, if you know what I mean. They were not wanting to risk injury for understandable reasons. They had the 1 seed locked up. Like, come on. So my whole thing is this. Because I gave you all of these other examples with the Bills, the Colts, the Eagles, just this year alone. People are so quick with these narratives that whenever their favorite team wins, it feels good. Feels like they're on their way to a Super Bowl. And then when they lose, people are hitting the panic button. There are protests happening. Outside, it feels like people are having a meltdown. I mean, all kinds of negative emotions come out. So, to repeat what I said earlier, relax. Calm down a bit. As long as you have Patrick Mahomes as your quarterback, Andy Reid as your head coach, Spags as your DC, and all the other key pieces you have this year, I know defense has been inconsistent. Offense has certainly been playing better since Worthy returned and since Rice returned. As long as you still have your key pieces, you'll be okay. I know that last game wasn't fun to watch, but that's not, one game is not a reflection of your entire season. And I know the Chiefs are right now very close to being a 500 team at the moment, but ever since that 0-2 start, they've won 4 of their last 6. I mean, you lose Xavier Worthy on the 3rd play of the season. You're still without Rice in that moment, obviously. I mean, their main receivers were Juju Smith-Schuster, Hollywood Brown, and Tyquan Thornton. And I'm not saying that in a negative way. Those 3 guys stepped up during the first couple of weeks. And obviously, I wish Tyquan Thornton was getting more snaps. But the point being here is that the Chiefs still found ways to move the football on offense until Worthy got back. And Rice got back. Offense started playing much better. So let's relax a little bit. I think a lot of people are panicking when it's November the 10th.